This is CHS TV News.
Good morning, Cathedral. I'm Lily with your morning announcements for Wednesday, February 9th. Let's start off the show with a message from your student council.
Good morning. Black mental health and wellness, emphasizing on healthcare access and improving wellness, I'd like to discuss the racism and discrimination in healthcare regarding both patients and providers.
For many, racism and discrimination in healthcare is not exactly what comes to mind when you think of the word racism. It is not the kind of racism where someone intentionally does something to another person. Instead, it exists in the policies and practices in the Canadian healthcare systems and other sectors. This has negatively affected the individuals involved by enforcing disparities in the healthcare system and how it can be accessed. It enforces anti-people of color racism in Canadian institutions, and that must be addressed.
Anti-POC racism in the Canadian healthcare system has been taught, manifested, and enforced systemically for years. Healthcare workers are taught disparities. The initial reaction is to place the blame onto the affected community, that it's the POC's culture, their genetics, or some other made-up explanation to place the blame on anyone other than the people enforcing it.
One way that systems like this manifest is a lack of upward movement for Black individuals in racialized communities. In the healthcare industry, the lack of representation and the barriers towards education are imposed on racialized communities. But education isn't the only factor. A study made in 2015 found that even with higher education, Black graduates still earn less than their white counterparts.
In Canadian history pre-Confederation, there is a long line of history with the mistreatment of POC in healthcare. Scientific racism began in the Enlightenment era to justify the expansion of the Second British Empire. They include medically discriminatory beliefs. For example, it was believed that POC do not feel pain the same way that white people do. Myths such as this remain some of the most harmful stereotypes operating in the Canadian healthcare system.
A study was conducted on how physicians manage chest pain found that Black people, women in particular, as well as the poor, were less likely to receive inexpensive and clinically proven therapies and courses of treatment. But instead, they were pushed towards experimental treatments.
The treatment of racialized communities is discriminatory by nature, and anti-POC erasure and discrimination is integrated into the foundation of institutions, including healthcare. Discrimination in the healthcare system can be unconscious and unconscious, as we live in a system built in opposition to the POC.
The start to a solution is self-education. If a person is completely unfamiliar with anti-POC racism, then they need to educate themselves immediately. Understanding the history of medicine and the discrimination against people of color and having the self-awareness to move towards structural change and policy changes are needed in order to dismantle such systems and ways of thinking. Systemic racism is a disease. The way an individual behaves is a symptom of the disease. Now that's all from us. Now back to Lily.
Thanks, guys. Back-ordered spiritware items have arrived. If you ordered spiritware in the fall and did not pick up your orders, or you had items that were back-ordered, they are now ready for pickup. Please pick up your spiritware order from the Student Council office in the cafeteria during your lunch. While you're there, don't forget that you can purchase Valentine's Day candygrams all this week during your lunch. Candygrams are 25 cents each or 5 for $1. You need to know the period 1 room number of the person you would like to send your candygram to. Candygrams will be delivered on Monday with a sweet treat. Our school is looking for students to give tours, sit with new students for their first few lunches, translate, and give them the student's perspective of Cathedral. Students will be called on throughout the year, as new international students can register at any time. Students who speak Arabic, Somali, Tagalog, and Spanish, or any other languages are especially encouraged to apply, but even students who only speak English are welcome to apply. See Ms. Craig in the library seminar room to sign up. There will be a senior volleyball and a junior girls volleyball practice today after school at 4:30 p.m., and the novice boys basketball team will practice tomorrow at 7 a.m. And those are all of your announcements for today, Cathedral. Have a great day, Gales, and thanks for watching.